With free agency just around the corner, let's take a quick look at some potential free agent targets for the Packers at our top 3 positions of need. Let's go to our biggest need, which I believe is inside linebacker. To give you a realistic look at who we can acquire in March, I have classified each player who are set to become free agents into these 2 categories. The top inside linebacker, I believe at this point right now, is Corey Littleton of the Rams. He will be probably the most coveted linebacker and get the most money out of all the players listed here in this free agent class. And not too far behind him is Joe Schobert. I would say that these 2 guys are probably going to be the 2 guys that are going to get the most money, and they could be probably too expensive for the Packers to acquire. And it's just because that they have just outplayed their way for a more friendly type of team, a more team-friendly type of deal. As we all know, some of the top linebackers in recent years have actually gotten some pretty big paydays. Quan Alexander is an example. The players to the left are probably more likely to be signed by the Packers because of price range, some of which may not be starting caliber players, and that is what we really need on this roster, are 2 starting caliber inside linebackers. And moving on to the number 2 need, which is wide receiver. Here's just a short list of wide receivers, with the top guy being Amari Cooper. He will most likely get a large contract, either with the Dallas Cowboys or somewhere else. For Robby Anderson, I had a tough time finding a category for him. I think his upside may be enough to get him a large contract. He's young and can only get better from here. But the question is he really a true number 1 wide receiver? So therefore, that's just a big question. That's a big question. So should he really get paid like one? I definitely know that he is definitely a name that has been thrown out all across the league, and certainly a lot of Packer fans definitely have been on his bandwagon, as well as other fans from other fan bases. They love Robby Anderson, mostly because of his speed and his abilities to go deep. But the question is he really the more well-rounded player? Is he really a true number 1 wide receiver? That's definitely a big question. He certainly could be. But right now, I think he would be a very good number 2 on just about any squad. So I had a hard time finding a category. I would have to say he probably might be on the expensive side, and the likelihood of the Packers getting Robby Anderson, it's likely, but I wouldn't say that it's a for sure given that the Packers are going to target Anderson or any of the receivers, really. I kind of expect the wide receiver position to be addressed in the draft, and I'm definitely positive that we can get a very good starting number 2 wide receiver on this roster, not in free agency, but in the draft. These are all just a list of options right here for the Packers if they decide to go that route, if they decide to sign a veteran wide receiver and draft a wide receiver and develop him right behind the veteran. I can go into more detail about how the Packers could pursue things at wide receiver, but I'll save that for another video. The players on the left are also some very good potential targets for the Packers, save for maybe AJ Green, who unfortunately has dealt with a whole bunch of injury problems, can't stay healthy, and is getting older. So I don't really think that AJ Green may be the best of targets for the Packers, or anyone else for that matter. It's a really tough call. If you're a team that can get him on a relatively decent deal, then maybe you can take a flyer on him, take a chance. It's kind of a high risk, a little bit of a high risk reward, but it could be a high risk, high reward type of signing. And the number 3 need for the Packers, I believe, is 3-4 defensive end. For this group, I have each of these players in 3 categories because the top 2 free agent interior defensive linemen are Chris Jones and Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams is rumored to be wanting to get $15 million per year, which is a very steep price. And Chris Jones will probably also be at about that price range as well, as I think that he is better than Leonard, and he could demand even more money than Williams will. I believe that they will be sure to get hefty paydays, and I do not expect the Packers to sign either one. As far as the rest of the guys go, Michael Brockers is one of those players that really goes under the radar because of the play of Aaron Donald. He is pretty much the main guy on the Rams defensive line, but it's Michael Brockers that really should be getting more notoriety for his play in the trenches. He is a very good run defender and a pretty good pass rusher, with I think his strength being in the run defense. He is really one of those selfless players that just goes about, does his job, and really can make an impact on a defense. He doesn't put up flashy stats, but he certainly does his job, and he certainly does it well. Eric Armstead is kind of like the same case for him, except he was a 4-3 defensive end on the 49ers, but he certainly has the size to be a 3-4 defensive end, and his presence on the Green Bay Packers defensive line would be felt because he has the size, he has the athleticism, he has the speed, and that is something that the team sorely lacks. Really, he would be a very good fit in the Packers defensive line as the starting right defensive end. The guys on the right that could be at a good price, a couple of those are not really 3-4 defensive ends, as Quentin Jefferson and A'Shawn Robinson have never played in a 3-4, but I believe that they could make the switch to 3-4 defensive end as they are interior defensive linemen. Michael Pierce is also an exception here. He is actually a nose tackle, and obviously that connection with Milt Hendrickson to the Ravens would probably be an attractive option. Michael Pierce as a nose tackle in Green Bay's defense would be interesting. He could play the nose, and you can slide Kenny Clark over to right defensive end. And just the thought of Kenny Clark, Pierce, and Dean Lowry, that could be a really good starting defensive front right there. The rest of the guys listed, I'm not going to go on and give you the whole details on each player. I just wanted to point out some of the guys that are probably not ideal fits in the 3-4 because of experience, and Michael Pierce, who is a nose tackle, not a defensive end. I just thought I'd mention Michael Pierce because he is a very good run-stuffing player and would certainly be an asset in the Packers defense, whether he plays nose or is our 3-4 right defensive end. But I feel like his true fit is at nose tackle, and Kenny Clark could easily slide over to the right defensive end position. This should definitely be an interesting free agency period coming up for the 2020 offseason and the Green Bay Packers. I do not expect the Packers to be as active as they were in free agency from last year, as we got the Smith brothers, Adrian Amos, and Billy Turner all in free agency, because the Packers are going to have to sign quite a bit of a few of our own players back. We do have a bunch of guys that are free agents, key players. Obviously, a couple of them being Tramon Williams, Brian Bulaga, Mason Crosby, all those guys. It will probably have to take letting go of some of our own players in order to acquire any of these free agents that are listed here. I certainly expect Brian Gutekunst in the front office to do their due diligence and do whatever it takes to completely make this team into a juggernaut and continue the rebuild of the Packers team and make this team and get back to a Super Bowl. I also would like to let you guys know that I am going to make a few minor changes to the channel. The first one being is that I'm going to do a few more around the NFL types of videos. I just released 2 new ones that just to get a jump start, just to get things going. You guys are more than welcome to tune in and listen in and probably have your say on all things NFL, not just Packers. I know that maybe some of you who may not be Packer fans that are watching this video right now, obviously you can have your say for non-Packer videos, and just kind of looking to expand my audience just a little bit and, go outside of the Packers and everybody from other fan bases are welcome to come on this channel and watch my videos and listen in and have your say. The second thing is that I'm also going to put a little bit of focus on the XFL and the St. Louis Battlehawks, the team that I am cheering for. I will have a few future videos about the Battlehawks in the upcoming future. And the third and last thing that I want to do, and this is something that I have put off ever since the beginning of this channel back in when I started this last January, is that I think I'm going to finally do some live streams. So get ready and be on the alert, because pretty soon I'm going to do a live stream. So stay tuned for that. I will definitely post a notification and premiere my first actual live stream. I would like to be able to collaborate with you guys and just talk some football, talk some Packers, talk some football, hockey, or some baseball. So I'll catch you guys later. Go Pack, go.